Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to Dreaming with the Living Land. I'm so glad to be sharing this time with you today. This is one of my favorite all-time topics of using our intentional dream work along with earth connection to really drop into a new kind of life, a new kind of meaning making that we can have as humans living on this beautiful earth. So, for those of you who don't know me yet, and we're welcoming a lot of new friends today to our Dreaming Circle, my name is Megan Cowan, and I teach intentional dream work and intuition classes. I am also certified as an energy healer and teacher in the Jing Qigong lineage, and I'm also certified as a dreamwork facilitator. I am also a trained environmental engineer, and I love how this work bridges those two worlds, right? The imaginative and the rational, the creative and the analytical. And I love how these two aspects of me, so my intuitive dream work, intuition teacher side and my engineer side, are absolutely not in opposition, how they are complementary to each other, how they're woven together with mutual respect and appreciation. So, when we are talking about connecting with nature out there, we're always talking about connecting with our own true nature in here, right? So, connecting to our own natural state, our own true selves, what's often called our own Buddha nature. So, this answer to who we are without the clothing of our ego. And when we dream with the land where we live out there, right? When we dream with our gardens or our favorite tree or our favorite place on our walk in the morning, what we're really doing is connecting with these deep aspects of our own interior life. It's that whole as above, so below concept, right? That the inside mirrors the outside and vice versa. So today what we're going to do is practice some relational dream work methods. So forming relationships with our dreams to explore and interact what's coming through from our dreaming, from the living land, in a much more personal way. But really, the real work we're doing is about coming home, right? It's about coming home to our bodies. It's about coming home to who we are. And it's about coming home literally to the earth beneath our feet, right? Finding that deep soul level belonging exactly where we are right now, doing exactly what we are doing right now. So no change is necessary. If you're like me at all, you may have struggled with finding meaning and purpose and belonging in our world, right? It's one of our deep wounds of modern civilization. And what I would like to give you today is a pathway forward toward finding that bone deep meaning that we all crave. Again, living the same life you're already living. So, what I have received as a result of dreaming with the land and learning to interact in sacred relationship with the animate earth has brought a deep fulfillment to my life that I was never able to get through the standard life and career successes that we're taught to follow. And so I'd like to give you a roadmap for re-enchanting your world, a way of discovering that the world you believed in as a child, the world where the trees talked and the messages came in the wind and invisible friends guided your way, has always been real and always accessible. So much of what we do in intentional dream work exists in the imaginal realm, in dream time, in the other world, or you could also think of it as a perceptive state of mind, right? Rather than being kind of in that linear, rational mind. So I like to begin my classes with a drop-in meditation so that we can interact with each other in that place that Rumi calls out in the field beyond wrongdoing and right doing, right? So today, to drop in, I'd like to practice something that I call earth breathing, which is both a method to enter an altered state, and it's also a standalone energy healing. And what earth breathing does is it involves us syncing up our breath with the natural expanding and contracting energy cycles of the earth. So it's sort of like breathing with the earth. So with an in-breath, we'll be receiving vital life force, and with the out-breath, we'll be releasing to the earth what no longer serves us. And when we do this, we can really receive that energy from the earth that helps us and supports us to grow strong and healthy and wise. And then we're able to let go of what we're holding that's maybe limiting us in some way and give it back to the earth. And she loves this, right? She likes to compost everything that we no longer need and repurpose it for something else. So the secret trick to earth breathing is that it's really less about breathing in a particular way or forcing your breath or whatnot. And it's more about reharmonizing your energy field. So it's sort of like if the earth was a great ocean and we are little separate bodies of water, and we are intentionally connecting our separate bodies of water with the earth so that we're naturally flowing in and out with her with the tides. So for this exercise, I actually don't focus so much of my breath. I feel like it takes away from the direct experience. We're really, with our intention and attention, we are connecting in with these natural cycles of the earth and allowing them to harmonize us for us. So we're not forcing it, we're just inviting in those supportive energies of the earth to work with us. And I'll just, as a footnote, this is the natural way that humans breathed, right? Like before modern civilization and we were conditioned to do everything in particular ways or whatnot, this was the way that humans breathe. This is the way that all creatures on earth breathe, right? It's that breathing along with this, our great mother, right? This great governing energy source that really permeates all things on earth. And when we connect intentionally with that energy source, it really can bring us back to a level of vitality and wisdom that we may not have known was possible. So simple, this is something that every strand of DNA in your body remembers at some level. Simple but profound. Okay, so here, I'm gonna actually plug in you can hear me better. And then I'm gonna invite you all to find a comfortable seated position. And we'll just practice this together briefly. So feeling your feet on the earth, closing the eyes, bringing your attention into your body. You might naturally wish to straighten the spine, tuck the chin. Really, you just want to move and in a way that makes your body feel the most comfortable. And then I'll invite you with your intention to connect in with the energy of the earth. Again, this is done with your intention and maybe with a drop of imagination. So imagine what it might feel like in your body to connect in with the natural breath of the earth, her natural ebbs and flows. And we're connecting in with everybody in this classroom today and everyone who watches the video in the future. So we're all joining in together with the intention to connect with the energy of the earth and to allow our breath to naturally flow with the breath of the earth. We're not forcing the breath, we're really just noticing what the response of our breath is when we intentionally connect with the energy of the earth. And you might notice at first that your breath is doing some unusual things, and that's totally fine. Just notice. This is kind of fun. Just noticing what happens in our bodies when we connect in deeply with the vibrations of the earth, with the harmony of the earth. And then when that feels good, I'll invite you just to notice on your natural in-breaths how you are receiving energy and vitality, nourishment. You are receiving everything you need in this moment directly from the earth. And just allow yourself to freely receive. And then on the out breaths, notice how you are allowing the earth to receive, to take from you anything that no longer serves. Allowing the earth to take from you anything that's blocking your full expression. Freely giving back to the earth what no longer serves you. Remember, the earth loves this. She loves to take any waste that no longer serves you and compost it into something new to serve all life. Breathing in, receiving. And breathing out, releasing. Harmonizing our energy fields with Mother Earth. Coming back into this deep, bonded, energetic relationship. And then coming to a point of completion, knowing that you can stay in this earth breathing practice literally 24 hours a day. And so as you gently open your eyes, the invitation is to remain here, to remain connected. And if you notice that connection changing, you can come back to it naturally. So while we're in this beautiful dropped-in state, I wanted you to consider this musing. So this is not something that I'm asking you to believe per se, but something that you can consider. And here it is. What if our true purpose as human beings is to witness the beauty of the earth and allow ourselves to be filled with awe? What if this were our only job? What if this was the main reason that we are in body here on earth? To pay attention, to notice, to stand witness to all of the wondrous ongoings of the earth. And then to allow our bodies to be filled with awe and inspiration and gratitude. And so, just for fun, as you consider this, I'd like to invite you to allow yourself to release back into the earth all of the expectations that you may have put on yourself. So all the must-dos, the requirements, the pressures that you may have put on yourself to do a certain thing or be a certain way. I'd just like to invite you to allow that to go back into the earth. And then consider, what would your days look like? How would the quality of your life feel if you lived as if your primary responsibility was to just pay attention, just to witness without judgment, and then just to celebrate the beauty of the earth? So we're letting go of any notions of saving the earth or managing the earth or whatnot, right? What if our only job was to worship? Because in truth, even though of course we have vast potential and vast power, we're also simple, humble little beings, right? Compared to the vast wisdom and the vast power of the earth. And I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves sometimes, sort of both believing that we have ultimate power to either save or destroy the earth. And I feel like sometimes that brings us into places that aren't very useful. So this is just an invitation to let go of all that and just for a moment allow yourself to be held by the embrace of Mother Earth. So the earth in pre-modern times was really seen as the mother, right? Not as a metaphor, but as a cosmological fact. And the earth was seen as this mother that could naturally provide enough for all of us and to transmute all that no longer served. So the idea of scarcity only exists in the human construct, right? Of course, we can create scarcity on Earth, but if we are really tuned into the ways of Earth, there is no scarcity. There's only abundance. There's always enough for all. And this idea that the earth loves all of her children unconditionally, right, with no judgment, no conditions, and no expulsion, right? This whole idea of humans getting expelled from the Garden of Eden is really, that's a human construct. This is not something that exists in nature. This is not something that pre-modern humans believed in. And again, in pre-modern cultures, the earth was seen as the first oracle. So when I use the word oracle, I'm not just talking about future telling, though it could include that. Really, in its truest form, oracle is divine counsel, right? It's this ability to see clearly, to understand the past, to witness the present, and maybe to give voice to what might become in the future. But really, an oracular message is something that gives utterance to what needs to be said in the moment, right? An oracle is a mouthpiece for what is seeking expression now. And so when we partner with the earth, it can be really powerful, especially if we're looking for information, if we're looking for answers or guidance in our lives. And pre-modern humans knew this, right? They would go to the earth as a way of receiving the information that they needed in that moment for resilience and to move forward in their lives. Another ancient idea is that the earth dreams us into existence, right? That the earth and all of her beings are dreamers, right? Humans are not the only ones dreaming. Everything is dreaming, even the rocks and the mountains and the flowers, right? So there's this idea that the earth herself dreamed us into existence, and that in turn, we are also dreaming the earth forward. So we are in this deep connected relationship of manifestation where we are each other's dreaming. So I'd like to talk a little bit about animism, because this is the framework that I generally use when I'm teaching Dreamwork. And I want to say up front that animism is less about a belief system and more about a tool that you can use to understand who you are and how you can interact with the world around you. And for Dreamwork, animism is the perfect framework because it opens up this whole new realm of possibilities. So in brief, animism is this understanding that everything, so in the physical form and in conceptual form, has a consciousness or has a spirit. So for example, a rock has a spirit and a consciousness. Also, a dream has a spirit and a consciousness. Also, a concept like democracy would have a spirit or a consciousness. So when you open yourself up to this level of possibilities, now all of a sudden we are able to communicate and commune with all of these different consciousnesses, right? I can talk to the rock. I can dream with the spirit of my business. And so it opens up all these new possibilities. So animism is not some new age fad. This is a very, very old belief system that really is really the most natural for humans to adopt. So really to not live as if the world is animated, it actually takes energy to do that. It takes a lot of conditioning to live as if the world is not alive. So really, animism is the default state of human consciousness. So it's not, again, that humans lost this knowing. When we were children, this is the way we interacted with the world. Really what happened is we were mentally convinced to mistrust it, right? We were taught that it was silly to talk to trees or that you can't, have a conversation with a rock. And so we started going through our lives as if it wasn't possible. Well, what I'm here to give you permission to do is to believe that this is all possible, right? And again, you don't need to believe in it. It's really a matter of playing around with it, practicing as if it were true, seeing what happens. When I started dreaming as if I could have relationships with the dreams that came through, it opened up a whole new way of interacting with them, and that in turn opened up a whole new realm of meaning and messages coming through to help me in my life. So, I think that's all I wanted to say about animism for now, but it's a really important framework that can change our lives when we adopt it more readily. So next I wanted to talk a little bit about sacred reciprocity. And it took me a while to tune into what this actually meant, right? You hear it used a lot in circles. And what you usually hear is that it's about an equal give and exchange, or a focus around, making offerings and giving thanks. And all of this is great. All of this is good, and none of it's wrong. But I personally kept on getting hung up around the mechanics of the actual exchange, right? So someone or something would give me this priceless gift, and then I wouldn't know really what to do to adequately reciprocate. Right? Part of it's that it's sort of been lost in our culture, but the other part of it is that I couldn't figure out how to tune into what was actually going on with this reciprocity when I only approached it from the physical realm. And then I also would get tripped up about receiving, right? So how many of you here struggle with receiving, right? Someone again gives you this precious gift, and then how do you accept it? How do you truly accept it with a thank you rather than, oh no, I don't need that. You take it back, give it to somebody else, right? And so that felt awkward and not quite in alignment. So it wasn't until I had a series of dreams with the land where I live that really instructed me on the energetics behind sacred reciprocity, right? It was less about what was happening in the material realm, and I understood that it really was more about what was happening in the invisible realm. And with that, I began to really sink into the practice and integrate it into my life. And it's really been quite profound. So again, sacred reciprocity, the way I see it, is less a set of rules and more of a complex energetic transmission. So I will invite you to take the information I'm going to share next as if it were sort of flowing through your body rather than something that you need to intellectually grasp, right? And what I'm going to share with you next might take a while to integrate, and that's actually completely normal. So again, my invitation is to receive this more as a transmission and know that you can come back to this recording anytime and take notes and kind of intellectually go over it in your brain. So here's my definition of sacred reciprocity. It's the living law by which energy moves through all of creation. So nothing in nature is ever static. Creation is constantly growing and dying and being born again. This giving and receiving pulses in an infinite web of exchange that's really far too vast and complex to track with our human mind. Sacred reciprocity is not really a transaction between two parties, but more of a communion with a fractal living network of flowing life force, intricately and perfectly woven. Sacred reciprocity is not personal, it's transpersonal. And in the realm of sacred reciprocity, there is no judgment, there's no ledger, and there's no debt. To practice sacred reciprocity is to develop a felt sense of this flow and to know when it is your moment to act, to give, to receive, or to simply be still. Sacred reciprocity is the universe's own system of course correction. It's constantly working against entropy, constantly moving toward harmony, toward healing, and toward peace. And with our free will, we get to participate consciously in this beautiful exchange, or not, it's our choice. And so in this way, movement by movement and dream by dream, offering by offering, we become part of bringing peace to the land. So just sit with that for a moment. And what I'll share next is what I call, I guess, the tenets of sacred reciprocity. And so these, again, are less, they're not rules, they're more inspirations to play with. They're more aspects to contemplate, right? And so again, my invitation is to notice which of these might catch your attention and or which of these might trigger you, right? Because some of these might be triggering. And if that happens, awesome. Just notice. And again, my invitation is to contemplate. Spend a few days or weeks just contemplating where this lands in your life. So the first aspect of sacred reciprocity is that all exchanges begin in the energetic realm. So all exchanges begin in consciousness, not in physical reality. And that the physical acts of giving and receiving are just representations of what's already happening in the invisible realm. The second is that the free flow of gifts keeps resources moving. And this free flow of gifts and energy, both again physical and energetic, create enough for all. So when we get into states where we're afraid or feeling lack and start stockpiling and hoarding, this shuts off this free flow. It shuts off this flow of sacred reciprocity. And this is where we get into physical situations of actual lack, right? When we stop living in this flow of sacred reciprocity. The third is that the earth is infinitely abundant and that life always supports more life. Again, this invites us to let go of that scarcity mindset. So there are so many synergistic effects of this web of life, this connection. And when we're part of that, we're also part of the abundance. Fourth, again, is that animism principle that everything is animate, aware, and alive. So again, when we get stuck in a materialist or human-centric mindset, we can sometimes lose that. And that can bring us out of right relationship. And when I talk about right relationship, I mean, yes, both, of course, with the earth, but also out of right relationship with the flow of energy. Right? So a lot of this is really teachings in how to work with energy in a way that doesn't block the free flow of healing and vitality and wisdom. Next is all things are birthed from the earth. All things. So both physical and conceptual. So this makes sense with stuff like food, right? We can kind of see like our food comes from the earth. But what if I told you also like this ballpoint pen here is a gift from the earth, right? So it can really help to visualize everything that we receive in our physical world is birthed from the earth. And as many of us know, the process of birth is not necessarily without cost, right? It's kind of a messy business. It takes a lot of time and energy. There can be scars. And I'm not saying this to make anyone feel bad about what we've received from the earth. It's more to just really feel that gratitude, right? That wondrous gratitude for all that the earth provides. To really appreciate everything that we receive, right? I may have bought this pen from a store, but when I see this pen as a gift from the earth, well, now I naturally want to give thanks, right? So the gratitude comes naturally, not as something that's forced. The next tenet is to be in sacred reciprocity. Of course, we need to ask permission before taking. So this is just basic social courtesies, right? the social courtesies that you would extend to a friend or a neighbor. So for example, you wouldn't go into a friend's house, walk in their living room and say, oh, I like that lamp, and just take it with you without asking, right? You would ask for permission. And so the same thing goes with everything in nature. I used to be guilty of this all the time. I'd be on a hike, I'd see a cool rock, and I would take it, and I wouldn't ask before taking it. And so that would sort of take me out of that right relationship. So before you get worried about all the rocks that you may have borrowed from the earth, I'll just share that because, again, everything happens in the energetic realm, there's a really simple solution to this asking for permission. And it's really as simple as asking and you shall receive. So we're actually going to practice this in our imaginal realm journey in a bit. But basically, the practice is, okay, say there's a rock on the trail and you're like, oh, I would really like to put that on my altar. You would first ask, so you would bring your attention inward, maybe you'd close your eyes, and you would ask. Maybe you'd connect with the earth, say, may I please take this rock home, or dear rock, would you like to come home with me? And then you sit in silence and notice what's going on in your body. And as you sit in that silence, the answer will come, and the answer will often come in body sensations. So maybe at first you'll have some body sensations that sort of feel tense, right, over, asking permission, maybe over some worth, like, are you worthy of taking this rock, right? And you'll just allow that to settle, and then you'll receive an answer. Pretty much a lot of times the answer is yes, right? When we've asked in this deeply devotional way, a lot of time that's the answer. Sometimes it's not, and that's okay too. And then naturally you'll give thanks. So it's this ask and you shall receive, and then you'll give thanks. So it's this little simple ritual that really can be done over anything. I mean, frankly, you could do it over the pen, right? Sure, you're buying the pen from a store, but when you're in that framework, you're sort of enmeshed in that capitalistic framework, right? It's way more fun to be in the animist framework. So you could even practice that with this pen, right? Ask, hey, can I please receive this pen? See how it feels in your body, and then act accordingly. It might sound silly, but actually that practice has kept me away from buying a lot of stuff I didn't need. So it could be useful. Okay. The next tenet is it's not personal. None of this is personal, right? None of this is really about us. We are just a node in the network, right? We're not the center of it. And sometimes that can take a lot of pressure off of all of this, right? There's a lot of overthinking that can happen when we're stepping back into sacred reciprocity. And so just remembering that we're just a small piece of this vast and beautiful matrix can sometimes help to make the process more natural. Next, nothing in nature is static. So everything is always changing. Everything is always birthing and dying, and all of this is inevitable. And so just allowing that truth to be a part of how you walk through the world, right? Sometimes we try to keep things the same, to fix them. We get attached to the way things are, and that, of course, can only bring pain and suffering. So getting better at noticing and when we're trying to keep things the same, and also, being able to step more into this natural flow of change rather than trying to keep everything the same. And then finally, the intention behind all that we do in sacred reciprocity is for the highest good of all beings, right? So again, this is not personal or about just our communities or our families, that everything that we do takes into account what is for the highest good for all beings. Okay, that's That's my intro to sacred reciprocity. So we'll move on now to the instructions for our practice today, which is going to be a visionary journey. And I'll just briefly say that this is a practice that we can do to enter into the imaginal realm, into the invisible energetic space that really underlies all of physical reality. And we do these in a waking state, but it does use a similar faculty as dreaming to access the same territory. So every pre-modern culture that ever existed has had some version of this practice, right? Shamans of Siberia called it journeying. The Celtic seers saw it as traveling to the other world. The Zhuangzi sages of China called it wandering, and the Jungians call it active imagination. So this is really a very old practice to make what is in the invisible realm sort of visible and able to be interacted with. So the imaginal realm is real. It's not real in the way that your kitchen table is real, but it's more real the way a dream is real, right? Or the way music is real. It's something that you can't touch, but it does move through you, and you can sense it, interact with it, and it can change you. And the key tool that we use in visionary journeying is our active imagination. And I'll invite you to not get stuck here, right? Because I know a lot of us were taught that imagination means making things up, but really that was part of the deliberate suppression to cut us off from our most direct access to non-ordinary reality, so we're going to let that go. In truth, imagination is this beautiful bridge between the material and the energetic worlds. And it can really help us access a deeper level of intelligence that's really not available to us otherwise. And in the animist framework, the imaginal realm is not separate from the physical world, right? It's intricately woven into it. And so what we interact with in the imaginal realm, we also interact with in the physical reality as well. So, for example, we are going to be visiting an oak tree today in our visionary journey. And so this oak tree we interact with, yes, is in the imaginal realm, but we may have encounters with an oak tree in the physical realm that mirrors some of our experiences with this oak tree in the imaginal realm. So my invitation to you with visionary journeys and with dreaming is to really allow your experiences in both worlds to start blending together. And in that way, it becomes quite easy to bring enchantment and magic and meaning back to your normal physical reality life. So if you have a dream today from Dreaming with the Living Land, then this is going to be a practice of dream re-entry. So this will involve, re-entering your dream and then interacting with it. And this is a really powerful way to embark on a visionary journey because you already have this deep felt sense of what it's like to be in that imaginal space in your dream. And so it's really easy to re-enter that space in waking life. It doesn't take a lot of imagination to bring yourself back there. For people who do not have a dream they want to work with today, that's totally fine. What I'm going to invite you to do is to pick an aspect or a place in nature near where you live, something that you have a vivid sensory memory around. So a place or maybe a tree or a plant or just a part of the pathway that you walk down in the morning where you really have a visceral memory of it. You can picture yourself there. You can feel what it feels like. You can smell the smells, hear the sounds, etc. This could be a place in your city park. This could be a place in your backyard. So it doesn't have to be anything extraordinary, but someplace where you can easily, again, use your imagination to bring yourself back there. And what we'll do in both instances is work with the intelligence and the consciousness of either your dream or this place on your land to dialogue and receive answers to questions that you may have. So the basic steps of the visionary journey are, first, you choose your oracle. So this oracle can either be your dream or your beloved place in nature. And so we're using the word oracle here, kind of like how you would refer to an oracle card, right? Like oracle card decks. So rather than pulling a card from a deck, we're using our dream or this beloved place in nature to bring forth and mirror the information that we need to hear today. In this journey, we are going to choose a question also, and we'll go through that next. And then we enter into an altered state, similar to how we began our class today. And then today we're going to enter through a sacred portal in an oak tree. So we're going to be partnering with this very protective and wise energy of the mother oak tree to as the structure for our imaginal realm journey. And this is very traditional. Often the world tree is used in imaginal realm journeys. We're next going to dialogue through an oracular writing process. And then we return and share what came through. Okay, so for this exercise, we are going to choose a question. And so I'm going to invite you all to read through and consider these questions and just notice which one you would most like to hear the answer to today. And if you have a different question, you can ask that. That's totally fine. So here are the questions. Dear beloved, what I most want you to know is, or, dear beloved, the medicine or gift I am bringing you today is, dear beloved, what you are ready to remember is, dear friend, what I see in you that you cannot yet see is, dear friend, what I dream for you is, or, dear beloved, the message I have been carrying across time for you is. So if you have your piece of paper or dream journal and a pen, I'll just invite you at the top of a page to write down one of these questions and put your name in there so it's personal, right? So I'm going to write, Dear Megan. All right. So when you have that ready, I'll invite you to just set your journal and pen aside. And we'll enter into our practice for today. So again, having either your dream from Dreaming with the Living Land or a beloved place in nature. Having one of those front and center in your awareness. And then I'll invite you to find a comfortable seated position again. Feet on the earth, head stretching toward the sky. And when you're ready, you can close the eyes. Coming back into your body. And letting all of the information that we just received swirl through our bodies. Allowing this information to maybe swirl out of our brains so that it can integrate in our bodies. And allowing your mind to be still. And we'll come back into our earth breathing practice with our intention connecting in with the energy of the earth. Allowing the earth to breathe through us. And allowing ourselves to breathe through the earth. Releasing all that no longer serves. Receiving healing energy. Just allowing your body to retune with the earth. And now we're going to take this practice one step further. So just notice that the way you might be experiencing the world puts you as the subject and the rest of what's in your room and your house in the foreground. So just notice how you and your body are the focus, and how everything else, the walls, the furniture, your chair, the colors, the smells, the sounds, or maybe in the background, in the landscape. And now I'd like you to consciously shift this habitual framework. Shift in your imagination and allow yourself to merge with the background. So merge in with the landscape of your room, merge in with the colors, merge with the smells, merge with the sounds, even merging with the temperature of your room. Allow yourself to become one with the landscape, as if you are camouflaging yourself with all of your surroundings. So we're allowing ourselves to step back from being the subject and allowing ourselves to become one with the matrix of reality. Breathing in with the matrix of reality and breathing out with the matrix of reality. Knowing that the word matrix comes from mother, the word for matter. So this is a reintegration between yourself and the mother. Every part of yourself completely and thoroughly merged with the background, merged with the living world that has always held you. You are no longer separate. You are home. And just allow yourself to experience this oneness for a moment. And when you are ready, I'd like to invite you to imagine that you are at the edge of a great forest. Grandmother trees surround you. Beneath your feet is soft moss. The light filtering through the canopy is golden and gentle. Allow yourself to walk forward slowly and notice ahead of you there is a giant and ancient oak tree. A wisdom tree with a portal doorway. And I'll invite you now to stand before this oak tree and ask for permission to enter into the other world. So in your imagination, ask for permission of the oak to enter. Breathing into your body and listening. Noticing the moment when you receive permission. And when you are ready, giving thanks to the oak. And now as you stand in front of this great portal into the oak tree, know that this is a doorway between ordinary reality and the other world. A doorway between the material world and the dream time. Knowing that on the other side of this door is your dream or your beloved place in nature. And when you are ready, step through the doorway. Let yourself arrive fully, noticing where you have entered, either in your dream or in your beloved nature place. Taking in the light, taking in the smells, noticing sounds, and just noticing what is in front of you. It may not be what you expected. There may be aspects of the dream that have filled out, or items or beings in your nature place that aren't usually there. Just noticing. And as you look around and explore, let your attention be drawn to one presence. One aspect of your dream or one aspect of this nature place, maybe one being, maybe an object, maybe an aspect of the landscape. So just notice whatever calls to you first and trust it. This will be your wisdom guide. And now with your attention, connect with the energy of your wisdom guide. Just connecting with the energy. Feeling the presence of your wisdom guide. Be they rock or grass or cloud or being or sacred animal, doesn't matter. And now when you're ready, gently open your eyes and come back to your journal and pen. And as you stay connected to the energy of your wisdom guide, allow the answer to the question at the top of your page to begin to flow. So just allow the answer to your sacred question to begin to flow. Don't think about it, just let the words come. If you get stuck, keep writing. And I'll give you about 5 to 7 minutes to just free-form journal from the perspective of this wisdom guide, answering the question that most speaks to your heart. And I'll play some music while you're writing. Noticing if you get stuck, you can close your eyes and reconnect with your dream or your nature space, and then come back to writing as inspiration flows. gathering up any last drops of inspiration, of information that wishes to come through today. And when you're ready, coming to a pause, setting down paper and pen, and knowing you can return to this exercise, this journey, this journaling, anytime you wish. You may even decide to dream further, either with whatever came through or with this place, this sacred place on your land. But for now, we'll come to a pause. And as you come back into our classroom and into the physical realm, just invite you to move the body around a little bit. Maybe shake the arms, maybe stretch out a little. So when we come into the imaginal realm spaces, we can sometimes get a little spacey and ungrounded. So it's good to really take the time, especially before getting into your car or doing something with heavy machinery or a knife, to kind of come back into your body fully. Sometimes it helps to bring the hands together like this. So whatever you need to do to fully arrive back in your body is beautiful. So that was kind of an example of what is possible, what it is possible to do with information that comes directly from nature and or information that comes from our dreams, right? We can meet these spirits, the spirit of our dream, the spirit of our land in the invisible realm, and we can dialogue with that spirit there for whatever purposes. And really, this is a very creative practice. There's no real way to do it wrong. There's a general framework, of course, that you experience today. But outside of that, really, it's up to you and your imagination. And this is something that you can do either with a recording, like you could listen to the recording of today's lecture and redo this exercise, or this is something that you could just do on your own, right? Take 15, 20 minutes, find a quiet place, and enter into this imaginal realm on your own. And the thing that I love about this practice is that in doing this, it starts to get your imagination flowing. It starts to help you connect more readily, more easily with what's happening in the energetic space. And it also can help your dreams become more vivid, more active, and more easy to remember. So it's, yes, a practice on its own, and it also can sort of start this type of communing with the more than human world happening spontaneously, again, throughout your days and while you sleep. So before I move us into our, sharing and Q&A time, I just wanted to share with you all my summer intensive intentional dream work class that's coming up in 2 weeks, same time, same place. And really what we've experienced today is sort of like the preliminary class, or class 0 of this Earth Dreaming Intensive called Oracles of the Oak. And in this 14-week journey, we are going to really go further with the concepts and the practices that I talked about today, while partnering with the, I would say, organizing principle of the Greek oracles of Dodona. And if you're not familiar with the oracles of Dodona, they were priestesses of really the oldest oracle site in ancient Greece. So this site predates Delphi. And they were known to walk barefoot on the earth, listening to the messages of the wind blowing through the oak trees and the cooing of the black doves. And, really in their most ancient expression, the oracles of Dodona were not intermediaries between humans and a distant god, right? In the most ancient sense, they held this point at which the earth and the wind and the oaks and the bird and the dream and the human community all converge together in this single act of knowing. And so what we'll be doing is practicing many different techniques, many different really ancient techniques, to learn how to reintegrate ourselves into nature, into the land beneath our feet, right, into where we live. And so just as a brief summary, this class will include 5 teaching classes, similar to the class that we experienced today, really, and 6 practice circles. And these practice circles are not lecture, they're really embodied practice, embodied experience, where we get to, in a small dreaming circle, work together with what's coming through in our dreams and in our daily lives also. So intentional dream work will be the primary tool that we'll use. And we'll also go deep into augury, so the reading of the living world as if it's speaking directly to you, receiving the messages and what I like to call the songs of the land. We'll play with landscape mapping, so finding the sacred in the terrain right outside your door, right? All these sacred sites that we visit in far off places, that's beautiful, but there are sacred sites right where you live. And when we learn how to recognize them and partner with them, it can bring a lot of mystery to life. We're also going to work with energy healing. So we're going to learn basic energy healing as an expression of sacred reciprocity. And we're also going to work with the structure of ceremony as a practice that can help us really communicate deeply with the land. Of course, we'll practice dream mirroring. This is something that we work with in all of my classes. And if you saw my Intentional Dreamwork Masterclass, you'll know a little bit about what that's about. And we'll also work with dream activism. So working with a group to dream forward a new world together. So again, the class will run May 19th through August 26th. And you can learn more about the class and enroll at my website, intothehum.com, enroll. And thank you. Thanks for being present for this class today and this experience. I'd like to offer everyone who has been part of this class a free 30-minute complimentary Dreamwork session, and you can book that at the link below. And if you have any other questions that come up after class, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at info@intothehum.com. So I've really presented a lot of information today, and just as a way of integrating, I'd like to invite all of you to reflect on just one thing. So one thing from our class today, from either the lecture, maybe a little tidbit of information that struck you, or one thing from the journey practice that we did together, one thing that you will take home with you today. So one thing that you'll contemplate or that you might want to weave into your daily life. even one thing that triggered you, right? One thing that I said that doesn't make sense and that maybe, maybe set something within you off in a way. So all of that is just information. And again, nothing that I presented today is something that you need to believe in. It's all just invitations to see who you are and how you interact with the world around you in a new way. And to the extent that that was useful, beautiful. And to the extent that it's not useful, let it compost back into the earth. That's what everyone would want. So I'll open the floor up now if there's any questions or sharing. I'd love to hear from you and stop talking for a moment.
I'd love to share.
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. Hi.
You're welcome. I loved the earth breathing. That was so peaceful and just really, for me, was really helpful to feel part of something bigger. There's lots of insights and lots of great things, but that one in particular, I'd like to take with me and utilize over and over. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy. Glad you could show up today. Appreciate seeing you. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, earth breathing is one of those simple yet completely life changing practices if you really decided to train it into your daily life. Right? Driving your car, you can be earth breathing. In a difficult meeting, my favorite place to bring it in is in a difficult meeting or difficult interaction, right? Because it supports not just you, but the whole you and the other person in this beautiful field of serving the best for all, right? So Mother Earth is always committed to what is the best for all beings. And so it can really help me at least get out of my ego and wanting to be right and remember to be in a place where I want to make sure that whatever outcome happens, that it's for the best for all. Yeah. Any other questions or shares from the visionary journey? Yeah, Lori.
Yes, I just wanted to also say thank you, but I found like the group earth breathing was so powerful. And when we were talking about connecting to the Great Mother, all of a sudden I had this strong vision of this woman with like clay streaks going down her face. And I found it very comforting and powerful since I live someplace where there is a lot of clay and limestone, and it just felt connecting just really strongly in that moment. So that was wonderful. Thank you.
That's beautiful, Lori. What an evocative image. It sounds like you had a visitation, maybe from gosh, the kind of the particular face of the Earth Mother where you live. That's such a gift. I would encourage you to dream, if you're so inclined, to dream with her further, right? Since she's made an appearance and start forming a deeper relationship with her. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, when we do this as a group, because we're working in the energetic realm and we're connecting our consciousness fields together, the effects can be a lot more potent. So I personally have a hard time doing this work alone, but when I'm with a group, it's just miraculous what flows out. So it's wonderful for me too. Yeah, thanks. Any other shares about the visionary journey or anything that happened in class? It can help, I'll just say, it can help to integrate what happened to share aspects of your journey with a group. So, Deborah.
Thank you. I just wanted to express gratitude and to reflect a couple things. I wanted to get some more insights about a dream that I had about a couple years before my mom passed. She died a couple years ago, but this was like maybe 4 years ago. And the dream involved her and my maternal grandmother, who was in heaven in the dream. And she was asking me to get her a ticket, like a train ticket to come and I didn't know how to get a train ticket, and I was like in the dream, like being all, logical or whatever. Anyway, so there's like a lot of the mother energy that I had even before you mentioned it. And then today I started this book that is a friend recommended, and I really don't want to do it, but I said I'm going to, whatever. It's like about Mother Mary and like 33 days of like exercises and stuff. And I don't know why I felt like not only resistance, but like anxiety, fear, and like all this stuff. And anyway, so I guess I felt like the theme was the Mother Earth, maternal energy, and um, synchronistic energy, that when something is repeated or reflected back, that it's a message to listen, or that there is something that is not just for me, but is circulating.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, Deborah. Yeah,
Thank you.
it's so true that these messages, it's great because if we miss it the first time, they just keep on coming over and over and over and over again. And I love the dream that you shared with your maternal lineage because this is, of course, really connected to that. We put a lot of pressure on our human mothers. And when really, our original mother is Mother Earth, right? And she can take all the stuff that, all the
Mhm.
needs we have, the anger, the whatever. I mean, all the stuff that we have, Mother Earth can hold it always. And sometimes our real physical mothers can't. And that's actually totally okay because they're beautiful, fallible individuals. So yeah, for me, really shifting that those needs that I had from my physical embodied mother to Mother Earth was really healing. Yeah, and good noticing with the book that you have the resistance to reading it. That's so fun. Yeah, sometimes resistance really does mean that's not for you, but sometimes it means that it has medicine that you're like not, kind of fighting. So yeah, I'd be
It's just
curious.
33 days.
That's
I
right.
feel like it's like I don't know, I'm called to do it. So I also, yeah, it's a mixed emotions. Fine.
Yeah, I'll be curious to know how that goes. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for sharing. Deanna.
Good morning. I just love this whole vision that you have in integrating so many things I'm passionate about, but I didn't know what to do with. So thank you. And I just love that kind of journey you took us on about what do you want to ask the Earth Mother? And the question I had is, what do I see in you, being the Earth Mother, speaking to me that I do not yet see in myself? And it was so amazing because right when I started, this beautiful meadowlark started singing outside my sliding glass door in the birch tree. And it was just singing the most glorious song. And it's really, really timely because I'm starting to get really engaged in a lot of like work I'm passionate about, but now I'm getting really involved with like larger spheres of groups to integrate like this massive like weed pulling mission in the Mono Basin. And I was just in this meeting and it's kind of like, wow, I haven't really done like public speaking or like inspiration. And I'm like, I don't know, I was kind of feeling a little wobbly on my self-confidence. And it was like, well, wait, I'm just singing the song of the earth. So just put aside my own little ego and its frailties and then just follow the music, And it just was like, it was kind of like a gift because instead of holding back, like, I'm not articulate enough or something, it's like when you really truly love something, it just flows through you. So it was a beautiful message. Thank you for that
Thank you, Deanna.
guidance.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that with all of us because that's good medicine for us all, right? Just singing the song of the earth. That's all. I mean, what if that was our only job to just sing the song of the earth? Because I kind of think it might be actually. And it takes the pressure off of us, right? It's like that point about it not being about us. It's not personal, right? These things that must be said in public speaking sometimes, in meetings, it's not about us. It's just us being conduits between the earth and, what needs to be said in the human realm. So I love that, Deanna. And, for everyone in this call, Deanna is a hardcore environmental activist. So this type of framework from the energetic realm is so powerful for the work that you're doing, because it'll supercharge everything you're doing in the physical realm. Yeah. Thank you. Hi, Jane. Nice to see you.
Hello, nice to see you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for this. I got a very interesting insight. I love the guided aspect, so thank you for that, because then I could just let go. And when I was at the door and you were saying, wait and get permission to enter, it actually was interesting because, like, no, that was the opposite of what I was told. And like a woman appeared, and the question I asked myself was, what I see in you that you cannot see yet? And so a woman appeared, it seemed like a version of me that was just like, no, we're just going in. We're opening the door. Like we actually, I feel like there were heels and she was like kicking the door open. So that was like, oh, it was very interesting because it was like completely clear. And I normally, it felt kind of abrupt where it was so clear. Like it wasn't just the flow. It was like, yeah. So thank you. That was very unusual. I appreciate that. Maybe don't ask permission, actually. It's kind of the opposite of what you're saying, but that's what I got.
No, I love it, Jane, because see what that little exercise does, that ask and receive, is it really just shows you what your relationship is with asking for permission. That's what it's doing. So
Love it.
I think that's very telling. And really, again, I know it doesn't really make sense in our linear brains, but this whole ask and you shall receive, you always will receive. It's just asking enters you into a relationship. It just brings you into communion, and then whatever happens next, right? Like your guide appears and kicks the door open, and hey, that's great. Like that's what needed to happen. So it's perfect. This is not coming from a place of I'm supplicating or I'm not worthy, or what do I have to do? I have to do all these steps to be worthy to enter. That's a bunch of crap, right? That's human construct stuff. Like that's not the reference framework that the earth operates under. So we're really just gently and slowly allowing ourselves to adopt this more natural way of interacting with all of reality. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jane. Love it. It's so fun. Yeah, and in these imaginal realm journeys, like we have a script, we have a plan, but they don't have to go with the plan. And they don't always, right? So I did a little journey with you all today too, and my journey ended up being more about it actually added to my dream. So I actually had this whole different experience that started with my guide aspect of nature and took me on this whole other journey. So that's also totally fine, right? You let your imagination run wild and see what happens, and then find meaning in that. And it can be very surprising. So any other comments or questions? Yeah, Casey.
Yeah, I'd like to share that the sacred reciprocity and your thoughts and observations of how that actually is, and your learnings were really potent for me, and I appreciate that, because it is something that I find I get a little sticky around when I was like sacred reciprocity, and but yes, I appreciate that, and the journey was really beautiful. I connected with the rainbow. And it was just lovely. It's like so full circle. Like all of this stuff seems so full circle for me in so many ways. But yeah, the rainbow was there. So thank you. Yeah,
you're welcome. When you say full circle, do you mean from when you were younger, or full circle? I'm curious. Okay, I assumed. I just have to share, because you just said rainbow. Hold on. This is what I use to bring in my little kid self. Yeah, so this is a barrette of mine from when I was 4, and I love this barrette. And so this is what I have on my altar to make sure I always stay true to her, because frankly, all this stuff is coming from her. Like, she knew this. All of our 4-year-old selves knew this. And then I forgot it. And so, I've been trying to reconnect it all, and I'm glad that the sacred reciprocity teachings were useful. Yeah, those I couldn't figure it out, and so I just started dreaming with it. And I just want to honor my teacher, Divine Elder, who showed up in my dreams and taught me all of that. And it's just such a joy to share it with you all today. It means so much because it's changed my life. It's so precious. So anyway, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Any other words that would like to be shared today? All right. I just want to thank you for this beautiful gathering. I never know what's going to come out, and this was just extraordinary. So I hope that you all have beautiful days, and as you're integrating this information, please do not hesitate to reach out or set up a 30-minute call or email. I really love to have these conversations to see where everyone's dreaming explorations are going. All right. Much love to you all. Hope to see you soon. Bye. Take care.